So, hi everybody, welcome to Universal Truths. Yeah, so the event last night I discovered was folding time, space-time, which at first was, no, it can't be, just it's not in my portfolio. So it was very much a surprise. But when it happened, I was so surprised. I was playing with the energies and as I do, experimenting. Um, and I managed to build up quite a bit of head of steam, so I was quite charged up when I decided to say, okay, call it quits, I'm going to go to sleep now. So I turned on my right side and I lay on my right side probably for 10, 15 seconds or so. And I felt this energy build up between my solar plexus and my sacral energy center. I thought, oh, that's weird. And then next thing, it just changed from massive energy to like an emptiness. And then that's when it all changed. And it was like my reality was split into two parts, but across the bottom of my rib cage. And literally the top of my body and the bottom of my body literally just went, and my whole room did that, changed into two halves that were like stuck together. And that gave me like, I was like, whoa, what is going on here? And I think that I know in the past when I've had those kind of new experiences, it tends to surprise you. So you like jump back, don't you? And that sort of pulled me out of what it was. But the funny thing is when it unfolded back down again, there was this thud noise. I thought, well, how can there be a thud noise? Like somebody dropped a large book onto the carpet, like a dunk. I was like, that's just odd. How can there be a noise? Oh, that was afterwards. At the time, I was like, wow, this is nuts. What just happened? Is this possible? It's just never seen anything like that before. It's the kind of thing you see in movies and you hear theories about this kind of thing. And I didn't understand it. It took me a while. Um, but even though I didn't understand it, I thought, okay, so let me crank the volume up again. I want to go back and see where this goes. So I tried to, but I couldn't get back to it. I just couldn't get the energy level at the same that it was before. And that's always the case. Whenever I discover these new fancy high tech things, I can never replicate it straight away. And that's the frustrating part. Um, yeah, and then it was just going around in my head, how can this happen? And the logical aspect and the scientific aspect and trying to make sense of what just happened. And I couldn't make sense of it. It was just completely outside my narrative. This is never seen this before. This I only knew about this in theories. So I decided to ask my essence self and say, yeah, I need some explanations. I had a feeling that it was that a folding space time, but because it sounded so outrageous, I thought I need to confirm this because this is not real. It can't be real. It was that wild, that much out there. So I went, and as soon as I like relaxed down, I said, right, I need to ask the question. And even when I was halfway through the question, I already knew the answer. And then the answer came back, yeah, it was folding space-time. Well, actually, I didn't need to ask because the intention of asking, I already knew the answer. One of those, yeah. And that just threw me again completely. It took ages for me to go to sleep because of just like, yeah, the wow factor. It's like when you first go and see a 3D film, it's like, whoa, just like that. But at the same time, because it felt like my physical reality was doing it, I thought, how can my body actually bend like that, you know? And obviously then I start thinking, yeah, but it's not really real. It's more of we're more of holograms and, started thinking about that, the energy level. And this is potentially why I must have switched from physical to non-physical really quickly in that moment. for it to actually happen. Otherwise, because I was scared to move. Oh, am I broken? Has my spine been broken? Because this is like really, really strange. But yeah, then I logicked it out and realized, yeah, I must have, in that split second, I must have flicked from 3D into 5D for it to be able to perceive it anyway. Because I think if I'd stayed in 3D, I wouldn't have seen that event actually happen. All that probably would have happened, could have happened, would have, but I wouldn't have been able to see it. So I must have switched over in that split moment just to be able to witness it. So yeah. So what do you think about that? Is this same thing happen to you?
When I've gone into the higher frequencies, I know what you're saying when you're speaking to, is this my physical body? How can my physical body do this? When I had such an acceleration one time, and I didn't know at the time what was happening, and now I know it's an outer body, an astral projection, where I did feel very physical. I mean, my heart was going so fast, and I felt my heart chakra. Again, this was when I was, decades ago when this first happened. I could feel the physical sensation of my heart beating, and I thought if my heart goes any quicker, it'll like explode. I mean, it felt physical, but like you're saying, now that I've done more explorations, now I've had more experiences, I know that it seems physical, but like you're saying, we're actually feeling a higher dimensional body. We're actually feeling more of the 4 or the 5D or whatever dimension that's getting activated. But what's happening is because our consciousness or our awareness, and this is just my take on it, is now merging and experiencing itself through that 5D or 4D, depending on what level you're projecting into, right? Consciously or unconscious, just spontaneously. It feels physical because it reminds me of when I went on a exploration with one of my guides back in the 90s, and we went through each different dimension. We went 1, 2, 3, all the way. And I remember at one point we were going from 6th to 7th dimension, and it felt very real, like physically real. And we were whooshing through this like portal experience to go from one to the other, that acceleration, like you were saying, that experience.
Mm.
And I remember I grabbed a hold of him. Like, like if you like almost like you lose your balance, I grabbed a hold of him and I could feel him physically. And it was so real, so tangible. And I'm going, what? Like this is a meditation. Like, or what are we doing? This is real. And it freaked me out so bad at the time that it was only because of his power at holding the energy in the space, otherwise I would have come back to my body. I was able to go into the 7th. And that was like the celestial realm. Like it was like the 6th dimension was like the celestial realm. And then this was like even more heavenly. Like the 6th dimension was blowing me away. But then when we made that leap into the 7th, then I was just like, oh my God, I was blown away at each time. But it was very real. And I think that shocked me. Like I couldn't sleep that night. I remember trying to integrate it and trying to assimilate it and just being like, I gotta tell everybody, all this stuff's real. Oh my God, how do I tell everyone? Like I just want to like get on a, like a show and like announce it. Like everybody listen in the world. This stuff is real. And that's what one of the most profound experiences. I still can't get over it. I mean, even retelling it now, I just remember how physical it felt. So I think, I don't know, but when I was listening to your experience, when you said, oh my God, my body, what's happening to my body? I know that feeling because again, when I very first did my out of body, going back to that first story, I could feel my physical body. And it felt like like when you're pushing away from a swimming pool, when you're kicking off from the side of the swimming pool to kind of propel yourself forward, that's what I had to do to get out of my physical body. It was that kind of sensation. And then as soon as I made that transition consciously into that astral realm, I didn't feel the heart. I didn't feel that physical, really heavy, almost like, oh my God, I hope my heart's okay. I hope I don't give myself, because I didn't know at this point. that I was
Yeah.
actually projecting. I was just playing, like kind of like you know, I was in bed one night and I was just started feeling these vibrations and I was like, ooh, ooh. And at the time I was trying to actually project. So this was funny. And I didn't know. And then suddenly something told me, this is it, just go with it. But you got to kind of get out. And so I was like, okay, okay, I'll go for it. And yeah, I didn't really know what I was doing. And I don't think we ever really do, right? It's like you just kind of have to surrender. I've learned in now when this happens just to kind of go with it and like, oh, we're going so okay, all right, let's go. And I get excited, yeah. And then if you get too excited, that can take you out of it. So it takes a little bit of practice to like get excited enough to go with it and to be open and not go into fear. You know, have that mastery, not don't let it turn into too much apprehension or fear, but still have that anticipation and that, all right, let's go, you know, feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you say, once you enter into those stronger emotions, that sort of pulls you back down into 3D, doesn't it? And it doesn't matter which particular emotion it is, fear or excitement. When that frequency gets too much in that density, then it just drops you out. So yeah, I get it. I get disappointed like that all the time with this kind of thing because I get so excited. Oh my God, I'm doing it. Oh, I can do this. Let me remember how to do this. And then I just drop out. I'm like, get disappointed because just get too excited, because I'm finally doing this, in a particular situation. So yeah, that was brilliant. That was nice, nice experience. Hopefully, more will happen. I'm sure they will. I think it's just the beginning, isn't it?